Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this afternoon, Labour promises to ensure civil servants receive new increments. Rivers CSOs urge governments to focus on how climate change affects people with disabilities. Ministerial nominee Balarabe to replace former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. First-time senators barred from becoming Senate President. Federal government plans reintroduction of face masks. And on the foreign scene, bus crash near Venice kills at least 21 people. My name is Jude Omamegbe, and this is the news.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good afternoon. Organized Labour in Rivers State says it will ensure that civil servants in the state and local government areas also receive the 35,000 naira increment announced by the federal government. The chairman of the NLC in Rivers State, Alex Agwangwa, said this during an interview on Nigeria Info's Morning Crossfire. Mr. Agwangwa also spoke about the recent hike in school fees at Unity schools.
This is the first time we're having a kind of communique that cut across all sectors to make sure this is implemented at the state levels, even to the local government levels and the private sectors. The Unity schools, for now, is not part of our agreement here. Most of our workers, the tertiary institutions, we are also on salaries. That discussion has been ongoing for a very long time, but with this development now, the federal government have agreed to discuss with Labour for further discussion and possibly agreement on how this money is going to be paid to the tertiary institution workers.
Also speaking, Rivers State TUC Chairman Foster Onyefuru said both unions have agreed to follow up on the federal government's plan to put the refineries in working condition within the next 6 months.
So we expect the refineries to work in the next 6 months. When you have achieved about 60% of your total demand, and then you have 40% in view that you are going to begin to work with, as has been clearly specified, with timeline 30th of this month. If nothing happens, 30 days, if nothing happens, we are going to commence on further strike action.
The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, is advocating for the immediate implementation of 25 and 35% salary increments for workers in tertiary institutions. The SANU National President Mohammed Ibrahim, in a communique issued at the end of its 45th regular National Executive Council meeting, said the association deliberated on issues of national importance as they concern its members. He added that the NEC is also aware that a provisional sum of 100 billion naira has been budgeted for salary review of workers in tertiary institutions, which is yet to be implemented.
SANU therefore earnestly requests that government should pay the withheld salaries without any further delay. Considering the harsh economic realities currently faced by citizens of this country, government is aware even if such payments are made, the value of the money has already been eroded by hyperinflation. Implementation of the 25% and 35% salary increment. The Imi Briggs Committee was at its final stage when SANU demanded for 700% wage increment, but the committee offered only a paltry 23.5% and 35%.
Away from that, now opposition political parties in Rivers State have been urged to join hands and work with the PDP for the betterment of Rivers people. The chairman of Ogoni Sim Vanguard, Marvin Yobana, made the call on Nigeria Infom's Morning Crossfire program today. He said Rivers State is running a unity government and will not be partial in its appointment procedures, as new appointments will cut across other political parties.
This government, remember that all offices have not been filled yet by the governor. So there are still rooms are still open for those who are willing to join hands with him and build the state. So I think we are running a unity government in Nigeria as it stands. So also we are running a unity government here in Rivers State. So it beholds on those persons who are opposition parties who feel that they have something to offer to make themselves available.
Mr. Yobana also appealed to the National Assembly to amend the Electoral Act to ensure automatic transmission of results from polling units in future elections.
We have fallen out the plot, and we are advocating that the current National Assembly should do something about it. More especially like the automatic transmission of election results should be from the unit directly. It should be mandatory so that we know that there will be no manipulation with the time votes were casted, the results were entered at the unit level. So when it will get to the INEC office.
Moving on, some civil society organizations in Rivers State are urging the government to urgently address the impact of climate change on people with disabilities. The executive coordinator of Media Awareness and Justice Initiative, Maji Okoro Emmanuel, at a one-day meeting in Port Harcourt, called on the government to initiate more PWD-friendly policies in the society. Mr. Emmanuel said findings from their research showed that there is no particular focus of the government on people with disabilities.
We have seen this as a gap because if engagements do not specifically focus on PWDs, you are not able to make recommendations that are tailor-made. We expect that the government use the findings within the research to develop policies that will support PWD groups. We understand that there is already a policy called the Discrimination Against Persons Living with Disability Act, but it has not been domesticated in many states. And even if it has been domesticated, it is not practiced in both public and private.
On his part, the chairman, Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, K. Obumanu, while speaking on the challenges faced by members, called on Rivers State government to implement the content of the National Disability Act of 2018 by establishing the Disability Commission.
We have a lot of provisions in the National Disability Act of 2018. We also have the Rivers State Disability Welfare Enhancement Law of 2011. So the implementation of the law entails the establishment of the Rivers State Disability Commission. When you do that, you can criminalize segregation and those who refuse to abide by the law. Because without the provisions of commissions across the states, it becomes difficult for the law to take its course.
In other news, the Senate has amended its standing orders to stop first-term senators from vying for the position of Senate President and Deputy Senate President. The Senate amended its order during Tuesday's legislative proceedings. The amendment of the Senate standing orders follows a motion moved by Senate leader Senator Okweyemi Bamidele, with the new amendments to the standing order of the Senate. First-term senators are now excluded from those qualified or eligible to contest for positions of presiding officers of the upper chamber. To report on persons with disability, correspondent Soribi Oruwari spoke to some participants of the meeting.
We need the government to give attention, especially on areas of employment, accessibility, issues that affect the environmental degradations, so that our members can have a good share in the society.
This group that has been able to channel our matter and by researching. The climate change is affecting us adversely. Let me talk about the flood. All these our building, those of us who are using wheelchair, they have to, price us up before we enter the building.
So they should put more effort, so we should be recognized in all areas in life, in the area of empowerment, employment, in order for us to be self-independent. So we are lacking so many things. We are being rejected in so many areas of life. They should include us.
In another development, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, says the administration cannot waste time on the controversies surrounding President Bola Tinubu's academic records from the Chicago State University, describing it as trivial matters. Mr. Tuga, who said this on Channels Television, said the controversy does not cast a shadow on some of the president's recent international engagements. He said nobody's wasting time about certificate qualification for someone who has been governor of a state, served 2 terms, and has been on the national stage as a politician. He argued that a former president, Muhammadu Buhari, experienced a similar issue. Yesterday, a registrar of the Chicago State University, Caleb Westberg, swore under oath that President Bola Tinubu attended and graduated from the institution in 1979. Mr. Westberg also admitted that the admission letter issued to the Nigerian president evidently proved that he was a male and attended the school between 1977 and 1979. His testimonies were contained in a deposition made in the office of Angela Liu, the legal counsel to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in Chicago, the United States. Well, still to come, Senate rejects CBN loans, warns President Tinubu against illegal spending. Stay tuned. It will reintroduce the mandatory use of face masks in states that have been affected by diphtheria. Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Fasia Schweib, who made this known at the Diphtheria Emergency Task Force briefing in Abuja, said the use of face masks is a preventive measure against community transmission. Dr. Schweib said a total of 8,406 confirmed cases have been reported from 19 states, with Kano State being the epicenter and representing 86% of total infections.
19 states and the FCT have been affected. Kano alone carries the weight of over 84% of these cases, making it the epicenter of this outbreak. Vaccination has long been humanity's armor against deadly diseases, and diphtheria is no exception. The federal government recognizes the power of vaccines in safeguarding public health, and our response to this outbreak centers around the belief that vaccination is our most formidable weapon.
On his part, the Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, Ifedayo Adetifa, said the National Rapid Response Team was recently deployed to offer on-site surveillance and response support to affected states.
We deployed national rapid response teams to Kano, Yobe, Katsina, Bauchi, Borno, Kaduna, Jigawa, and Zamfara to support outbreak response across all pillars. So in terms of numbers, we have had now 13,204 reported suspected cases, out of which 8,406 have been confirmed, and these cases have now come from 19 states, including the FCT.
Dr. Adetifa also said the federal government is finalizing plans to establish a national diphtheria laboratory for the testing of suspected diphtheria cases. The Chief of Army Staff, Taoreed Lagbaja, has directed an investigation into complaints of poor feeding of troops on the front line on the northeast region fighting insurgency. Lieutenant General Lagbaja assured the public that all personnel that a thorough investigation will be conducted to get to the root of the complaints. He said the army under his leadership prioritized the welfare of troops. The Lagos State Police Command says it has taken into custody controversial singer Azeez Fashola, also known as Naira Marley, in connection with the controversial death of his former record label signee, Mohbad. The public relations officer of the Lagos State Police Command, Benjamin Hundeyin, said Naira Marley was taken into custody yesterday night after interrogation and other investigation activities. Earlier, in a tweet on Tuesday night, Naira Marley announced his arrival in Lagos to assist in the ongoing probe into Mohbad's death.
And now the business news. We'll be right back.
To business now, the Senate has warned President Bola pressed natural gas initiative. The request came barely 48 hours after President Bola Tinubu announced measures to cushion the pains of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians. Senate Committee Chairman on Gas, Senator Jarigbe warned that it will be illegal to spend taxpayers' money without approval by the National Assembly and other projects in the gas value chain. In entertainment, Black Sheriff has clinched his first BET award for Best International Flow at the just ended 2023 Hip Hop Awards. The two-time nominee beat 9 other rappers for the award. In sports, England winger Jadon Sancho is increasingly likely to leave Manchester United in the January transfer window, with Borussia Dortmund keen on bringing the 23-year-old back to the Bundesliga. And finally, from the international scene, at least 21 people, including several children, have died after a bus crashed off a flyover near Venice and burst into flames. The bus broke through the barrier and plunged almost 15 meters near railway tracks in the district of Mestre, which is connected to Venice by a bridge. 5 Ukrainians, 1 German, and the Italian driver were among the dead. And that was the news this afternoon. But before we depart, a quick recap. On the news this afternoon, you heard that organized labor has promised to ensure state civil servants receive the new increment. Rivers CSOs have urged the government to focus on how climate change is affecting people with disabilities. Ministerial nominee Balarabe will replace former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. First-time senators have been barred from becoming Senate President. The federal government says it will reintroduce the mandatory use of face masks in certain states that have been affected by diphtheria. And on the foreign scene, at least 21 people, including several children, have died after a bus crashed off a flyover near Venice and burst into flames. The news was edited by Martha Kere-Inkem. Mostly cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this afternoon with temperatures of about 27 to 29 degrees centigrade. Please be advised. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. 0808 721 7215. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. My name is Jude Omamegbe. Thank you for listening and have yourself a pleasant afternoon. Coming up next, the sunny side of conversations. Good afternoon.